making money very quickly my first year. Being in the affiliate industry, you're very risk tolerant. So I got into trading stocks and cryptocurrencies and things like that. And a recipe for disaster is having a lot of disposable income, having no experience in trading, and coming from a business industry where you have to be very risk tolerant. If I'm starting from scratch again, I would go into these groups and figure out where the groups are that people are hanging out, where they're making money. The only reason this person is making more money than me right now is because they know something that I don't. So I have to figure out what is the one thing they know that I don't. When I can figure that out, I would execute on that.
Hey guys, I just want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors, not just Adam, but Ringba, of course. If you haven't already, grab your copy of The Paper Call Revolution, which you can find on Amazon now.
All right, guys, I have a very special guest with me today, coming to you from the Dominican Republic. I have Carter York with me. Thanks for joining me, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, man. So for those that don't know who you are, how'd you get started in this industry?
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny because I've never met someone in this space that originally set out to get in the affiliate marketing industry. Everyone just kind of fell into it by happenstance from pursuing something else. So I've only been in this space since about 2020. Prior to that, in 2019, I was a bartender and I was selling newspaper subscriptions. As you can imagine, selling newspaper subscriptions for a physical newspaper in 2019 is not a very scalable business anymore. So I spent all the time, instead of working, I would sit in my office and Google how to make money for yourself, how to start an online business, how to be your own boss, things like that. I came across a post on Reddit about somebody talking about something called affiliate marketing, and he was bragging about making $1,000 profit in a day. At this time, I was making about $500 in a week. So it was very, very enticing for me to start looking into this. So what I started doing was just annoying every person I could find on Reddit that's talking about affiliate marketing. I basically said, hey man, you don't know me. I have no money to give you. I'm broke, but I have a lot of free time. I'm very ambitious. I'll work for you for free. Just let me look over your shoulder and see how you're making this money. As I had a lot of people that said, no, thank you, but I eventually found someone who said, hey, I appreciate you reaching out. I'm actually bootstrapping a digital marketing agency right now. I live in San Diego, but I can't afford to keep my business going in San Diego, so I'm moving to Thailand to bootstrap my business. I'll teach you how to run ads, but you have to come out to Thailand with me to learn how to run ads. So I literally left my job that day on my lunch break, and I emailed them and I said, hey, I'm not coming in after lunch or ever again. A better opportunity came up, and I went home. I was still living at my parents' house at the time. No money to my name. I cashed out a savings bond from my grandfather that didn't even mature yet, so I got like $2,000 from that. Spent all my money on a one-way ticket to Thailand, and very much showing like a Mr. Miyagi type of story with the Karate Kid. I went out to Thailand and someone taught me how to run ads, and it took off from there. So I've only been around since about 2020, but that was how I got started in the space.
That sounds like a typical, like not typical, but an appropriate origin story.
Yeah.
Of how you get into affiliate marketing.
Right.
What was that like while you were in Thailand? Like, what was that experience like when you got there?
It was really good, man. He connected with a lot of different marketers. We went out and we stayed at some co-working spaces where they might not all necessarily been in the affiliate marketing industry, but they all had different online businesses that they could work from wherever they wanted. Which when I got started in this space, that's exactly what I wanted. I didn't care how much money I was making. I just wanted to answer to nobody but myself. I wanted to run my own business, make my own hours, and travel. So it was really great to be around a lot of people like that. It inspired me to actually like stick with it because the first couple months weren't that great, and then it started taking off from there.
Do you still talk to this guy?
I do a little bit. He's more on the e-com side and we're on the lead gen side, so not so much anymore, but he's still a great friend. I haven't talked to him in a while, but if he reached out and asked for a favor, I would do it in a heartbeat because I never forget who helped me coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the, not like aha moment, but during, like how long were you in Thailand for?
I was there for about 2, maybe 3 months. I was planning on staying for longer, but I had to leave because I got a phone call. Back in college 2 years prior to that, I did a cheek swab for a bone marrow transplant fundraiser they were doing. And someone called me and said, hey, you have a person who matched with you. They have leukemia, and you're probably the only match for them for your bone marrow. So I actually had to cut my trip short. I had to fly back to the United States to get blood tests and everything for a bone marrow transplant. But from there, I was good enough friends with the guy who got me over to Thailand that I was able to still communicate with him when we worked remotely from there. But he wanted to work face-to-face for a while first.
Dude, that's pretty noble
Yeah.
of you too, man, to just leave that. Obviously,
Right.
I'm assuming it's working too at that point, right?
Yeah, a little bit. So this guy who taught me how to run the ads. He more so taught me how to network, which I think is a much more valuable skill than media buying in itself anyway. We actually never ran ads together. I went out there with the idea of media buying for him, but what he did was he got me into a bunch of groups of people who were already having success. So even though it didn't necessarily work out with him in the long term, he taught me exactly how to go network with all these people, and from there, that's when it really took off. So I would say probably the first month or two, it didn't take off, and then it took off very exponentially from there.
So you came back, you donated bone marrow, and then you were still working with him at that point, like virtually, or you started testing your own offers?
I started testing my own thing. So he got me to the point that I was able to make about $100 profit a day running ads. And from there, I kind of just had an intuitive thing where I joined some different Facebook groups. And what I noticed the biggest gap in the industry was at this point in 2020, it's gotten a little better since then, but in 2020, nobody wanted to share what they were doing to make money because most people were making money on one thing. So they didn't want to share with anyone and risk someone taking it. But what I realized was if I just share the one thing that I'm doing, I'm good at one thing. I can make $100 profit a day on auto insurance ads when I started. What I realized was I could go message 100 different people, and I just had to give away one thing to all 100 different people, and I would get back 100 different things. And that's where things really took off for me. So I would go in these Facebook groups and I would post and say, what's up guys, my name's Carter. I'm a brand new affiliate. I'm only doing about $100 profit a day. Who's doing similar profits a day and wants to talk to me? And I would get comments from people in the Facebook groups. They would say, I'm doing $200 profit a day on life insurance. I'd say, okay, great, let's get on a call. I would get on a call with them. I'd be like, hey, you don't know me, but I'm gonna share my screen. Just sit back, I'm about to give you literally everything I'm doing in this business. And they'd be so caught off guard by me doing that. They're like, wow, no one's ever done that for me. I'm happy to show you what I'm doing. Because I explained to them, I can copy what you're doing, you can copy what I'm doing, and now we're collectively making $300 profit a day by copying each other's businesses. Rinse and repeat that for about 2 months until I was up to making about $1,000 profit in a day. I would go back in the group. Hey, it's me, Carter, again from a month ago. I know you're tired of these posts, but I'm doing $1,000 profit a day now. Now bigger guys would talk to me and they'd share things with me who didn't talk to me prior to that because I wasn't doing enough volume. I come back a couple months later, I'm doing $10,000 profit a day. Now I'm getting in bigger circles. My first ad I ran was January 2020, and by doing this strategy, by October 2020, I had my first $100,000 profit day, just from networking with people and sharing value back and forth.
A year.
Yeah, 10 months.
Bro, that's nuts.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met anyone in the affiliate space who's gone from starting like scratch. Like maybe they moved from e-com or like doing agency work, and then they like shortcut it a little bit because of that. But 100K profit a day in less than 12 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with that, as I mentioned before, was that most people weren't willing to share and put themselves out there and give away the part that was making money in their business. And I can't tell you how many times I would get on a call with someone who's brand new, they've never run ads before, and they're like, hey, I know it's not worth your time to talk to me, but I have a couple questions for you. Like, would you mind messaging me back? And I would say, call me right now. And I would get on a call with them for an hour. And I would share everything I'm doing to make money. And this one kid, he's actually really big in the space now, but at the time he had no money, so this was when I was doing 6 figures profit a day, and I was helping him. And at the end of the call, he's like, hey man, how can I pay you back? Like, can I give you like a $10 Starbucks gift card or something? I was like, dude, you don't have to do anything. Right, I'm like, dude, just pay it forward to someone else. But that kid came back to me 6 months later. Hey, we haven't talked since then. I'm doing $10,000 profit a day on auto insurance right now. I want to pay it back for you helping me get started. Here's everything I'm doing. Here's the links I'm running. Here's the landing pages. Here's the ads. And it really, really started to snowball for me from there. And I realized I could actually build a business around just sharing value with people and networking. Where now I have people come back from 2 years later that I haven't spoken with. And they're like, I remember you helping me when I was first getting started. I have something really great I haven't shared with anyone. I just want to give it to you. So it's paid off dividends. I was never expecting to get anything back from sharing with people. I was just doing it because I wanted to share value, and I think there's enough money for everybody in the space, but it's paid off tenfold for whatever I've given out to everybody else.
I want to give a testament to this man. So I reached out to him in September, just a few months ago. I was like, I switched from doing leads to doing pay-per-call, and I'd never done pay-per-call, let alone successfully done pay-per-call, and I was losing money. I probably went like negative 30, 40K before I actually started seeing consistent profit. And it was right around the time when I called him and I showed him my numbers and just told him what I was doing. He got a call. Like I was like, dude, I'm happy to pay you. And he said, no, just like, let's get on a call. I'll help you. And he did. And the advice he gave me then helped me get on a trajectory to doing, pretty good numbers, good volume. But actually, in reality, I didn't listen to you entirely because I saw you again in January at Legion World. I said, hey man, like, here's where I'm kind of struggling again. Like, here's where I'm stuck. They're like, dude, you just need better buyers. So like, that's kind of what he said in the first place too. So I took exactly what he said then. Just in the last month, like, we've had higher margin days than we had during the peak of the health insurance season. So this absolutely what he's saying, and thank you, man.
Right. Yeah. Appreciate that, man. And I think that's really important what he just said, where I think a lot of people, where they fail in this business, is they're not willing to network with people. And there's so many times where even now I'll have days where my profit is much lower, and I'll sit there and try to throw things at the wall and hope something sticks. I'm just kind of like floundering, trying to figure something out. And then I take a step back and remember, oh yeah, I got here because I've been networking. And I can go talk to somebody who's already having success, and it's so much easier to find someone who's already succeeding than to try to pull something out of thin air to make money. And that's why I think it's very important that people come out to these events and network, because the one piece of information you're missing, you might not even know you need it. But for example, you might have spent 3 or 4 more months trying to media buy and think it was your ads that weren't working, and you can go talk to someone for 10 seconds, like, no, I see your stats, you just don't have buyers that are paying enough, and it's gonna move the needle entirely over into being a profitable business from there. So I pride myself on building my whole business up based on networking.
From that 100K profit day you had in 2020 to now we are in 2024, what are some of that's obviously still like a good chunk of time, what were like your milestones along the way to where you are now, where you have multiple companies, you have full teams?
Yeah, so I mean, back then I was a one-man operation, so and those 100K profit days were good for a little bit. They stuck around for 6 to 8 weeks possibly, but like all good things come to an end, and it more or less died out entirely after about 8 weeks. Took a big hit as well because this was weight loss offers where they would hold 10 to 15% of your revenue, so I had about $3 million in money held. And we talked about this last night. I was like, oh, good. Well, this business dried up, but I have $3 more million coming back to me. And every day I'd log in, I would see $50,000 more in refunds. And so the extra $3 million I thought was coming to me was, I think at the end of it, I got like $20,000 out of it. So I was back to the drawing board from there. Made a few $1 million doing that. And we've had upswings and downswings as profit as anyone does. But I think the next biggest milestone for me was when I started hiring business coaches, where they were kind of teaching me mindset, way to prioritize my time, ways to actually delegate to my team. And the only way you can have multiple functioning businesses at a time is if you're able to start taking yourself out of the equation in certain things, especially the things you don't want to do. So I think the biggest thing in the last year or two that I've gotten much better at is actually giving up some control, delegating my time to other people, letting them take some of the load off of my back. And that helps me scale my business because now I can go replicate those people. Because I only have so much time in a day, but if I can clone myself 10 different times, I can go scale my business significantly higher. So that was probably the biggest milestone for me in the last couple of years, and I'm still struggling with it. But building out the team and delegating is definitely.
What are you naturally good at, and what have you learned to be good at out of necessity?
Naturally good at, I think that's one of the things that I'm pretty distinctly different from most people in the space, is a lot of these people are kind of hermits and recluses, and they're not really interested in going to talk to people in person or networking and things like that. But it's been such a natural skill set for me because coming from selling newspaper subscriptions, I used to have to stand in a grocery store at a little table, and everyone who walked in the grocery store, I had to find a way to stop them and convince them to buy a monthly newspaper subscription. And from doing that, if you can have 1,000 people say no to you in a day in that, it's very easy for me to go talk to someone online behind a screen and ask for help. So the networking and the socializing aspect of it came very natural to me, and I think that's why it's flourished for me so much, is because I don't have to force myself to do it. I'm just doing it because I enjoy doing it. I would say the hardest things for sure are more the very technical things, either coding softwares or things like that. I still have to delegate that. I've tried to learn it myself, but I have to call a friend 5 times to explain the same concept to me. And then the other thing with very technical things is building out processes and systematizing. My brain is very 10,000 foot view where I see where I need my business to go, but I'm not very good at the actual like granular implementation of, okay, I need to build out an SOP for this person and step-by-step process. So that's something I'm struggling with a lot. I'm very not technically brained at all. I'm very more like extroverted brained.
Well, you've found good people for that.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest thing, is of trying to do things for myself versus finding other people who not only are better at it than me, but they enjoy doing it. So one of my partners in my newer business, I asked him, what's the best role look like for you? What would you get excited showing up every day and working with us? And he said, if I don't have to talk to anybody and I can just sit at home on my computer and I can do all the behind the scenes stuff and no one has to talk to me, that's what I want to do. And I was like, you're absolutely hired and we're partnering right now because that's the one thing that I love doing, and I hate having to do all the technical behind the scenes day-to-day implement. Yes, yeah. I like putting all the pieces in place and doing the delegation and stuff, and he wanted all the delegating handed over to him, so it was, I'm a big Alex Hormozy fanboy, and on one of his podcasts recently, he said once you get past 7 figures a year in revenue, every problem you have is no longer a what problem, it's a who problem. Because you have the money that you can go afford to hire the right person for this role. The trick is actually finding who the right person is, but when you have that much money to give out to people, you can start hiring the exact person for the role, and that's what I started doing.
Nice, man. What was, in the last 3 or 4 years, what's been the best day in your journey, and what's been the hardest day in your journey?
I think the hardest days in the journey for sure are in this industry. It's very easy for people to take advantage of you. It's very easy for people who know the way the laws work, where if they decide they don't want to pay you and close down their business, it's very easy for them to run off with your money. I think between that and also making money very quickly my first year, being in the affiliate industry, you're very risk tolerant. So I got into trading stocks and cryptocurrencies and things like that, and a recipe for disaster is having a lot of disposable income, having no experience in trading, and coming from a business industry where you have to be very risk tolerant. So I think in my first year, I made several $1 million in profit, and I probably lost about $900,000 that first year just trading Bitcoin and stocks. Some of that was money getting stolen from me, from people taking advantage of me and being naive and thinking, coming from the Midwest, where I come from, your word is kind of your bond. If someone says they're going to do something, you take them at your word for it. You don't need contracts and things like this. So it was a very eye-opening experience that first year, where we'd meet other people who don't necessarily operate like that. And they're like, oh yeah, you can trust me. And being naive, I lost a lot of money by trusting too much money to the wrong people. So I think that's the biggest downswing for sure. To segue into that though, it's very funny how that works, because the people who have refused to pay me, I'll post in groups about them, about how they haven't paid me. And it turns out, it ends up making me more money, because I have people reach out to me, hey, this guy also stiffed me on a several $100,000 bill. Oh, really? Well, it sounds like you're doing pretty good volume. Maybe we can find a way to work together and make back the money. And I've made back tenfold what I've lost from these people stiffing me on payments, because I've used it as leverage to network with people. Yeah, there's a bunch of things like that. And then I think the best parts of the day, I mean, it depends if you want to talk about like monetary figures or experiences, but genuinely, I live very below or at my means. I don't spend a lot of money, and I could retire tomorrow. I'm very happy with where I'm at. I think the really good thing about this space right now is I've made so many great friends in this industry. A lot of these people I see only 4 or 5 times a year at these events, but I consider them lifelong friends now. That's probably the best part about this industry, and I think those are the biggest upswings for me in that sense. But yeah, it's been great overall. There's definitely been some downswings, but that's the best things for me for sure.
You talked to a lot of people that have been doing this for years, a lot of people that maybe are starting, that you meet at the affiliate summits or even at these events. What are some things you see people struggle with, like the most common things, and what advice would you have for someone? And the answer is in 2 ways. Advice for someone starting out, and advice for someone that's been in this space but is maybe hitting a hard patch.
Absolutely, I can answer both of those. So someone just starting out, like I said, like I hope you guys take motivation from my story, where I was not afraid to reach out to people, and I was not afraid to be annoying. And I think when you're starting out in this space and you don't know anybody, it's very, very important that you get yourself out there. I've met a lot of people in this space where they were spending $1,000 a day on ads in 2020. I asked for help, they didn't want to help, they didn't want to share anything. I come back and talk to them 4 years later, they're spending the same $1,000 a day, they haven't grown at all. Yeah, they've saved that part of their business. However, they're not growing at all because they're refusing to share with anybody. But for people who are absolutely just now starting out, the same thing. I recommend you come up to these events. Everybody's so nice. Everybody loves talking about their own business. And this is something people don't want to admit, but everybody's favorite topic to talk about is themselves. So if you can get on a call with someone and just sound really interested in how their business works and what they're doing, I've had people spill so much information about their business that they've had business partners later that get angry that they disclose so much, because I was just interested in what they're doing, and everyone's passionate about growing their businesses here. So I think don't be hesitant to reach out to people and ask them for help, because you will find a lot of people that love to give value because they were in your position a very short amount of time ago. So that would be my advice for people just now starting out. People who are in the space for a while, had some success, and now they're struggling. That's kind of two different steps. I mean, one, very importantly, again, I think people network early on to have success. They start straying away from doing that because they think they can figure it all out themselves. And every conversation I approach, there might be people doing less volume than me, but I always approach it as this person has at least one piece of information that I don't have. I mean, my 5-year-old niece knows more about dinosaurs than I do. Like, everybody knows something that you don't know, so I approach it with a sense of humility like that, and that's very helpful. The other thing, I see a lot of guys who are having like mid-level success, and the biggest problem, same thing that I struggled with for a while, was they are unwilling to give up control and start delegating parts of their business that they shouldn't be doing. A good buddy of mine, Anthony Sarandria, he did a talk about this recently where he said, my very first hire in my business is that I'm gonna write down my day-to-day tasks that I'm doing every day and logging how many hours a day I'm spending on this. I'm gonna see which things are not the best use of my time and which things I hate doing. That's what I hire first. It's answering emails, answering messages, getting on calls to onboard offers, things like that where you can start using your time for the best use of your time. And I had a business coach by the name of Todd Snyder. My buddy Peter Kell uses him still to this day, and I think Ray Sinlaw still uses him as well. He really opened my eyes for how to take my business to the next level with the sense of, he does something called time boxing, where he said, okay, what is the biggest needle mover in your business that you could focus on? If you weren't focusing on anything else, you could only do this one thing a day, what would it be? And I said, testing more offers, launching more ads, finding new verticals that I can crack. So he said, okay, you're gonna segment out 2 hours of your day. You're gonna turn off all of your notifications. You're gonna throw your phone under your bed. You're not gonna do anything else, because anytime you get distracted, it takes you out of your flow state, where I'm sure you've had times like this where when you're very in the zone, you'll look up and 2 hours flew by because you're very focused on that one thing, and it's the best way to start working. So what he would recommend to me, it's like, okay, you said personally the best needle mover for your business, spend 2 hours a day testing new ads, new offers, things like that. So I would have a 2-hour segment every day from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. where everyone on my team knew you can't talk to me, I have my notifications muted. I'm going to go in, I'm going to find a bunch of offers that other people are having success with via spy tools. I'm going to make my own ads. I'm going to paste them in with the same offers, essentially just fishing, trying to find things that are making money. In that 2-hour time block, I'm not kidding, when I had no other distractions, refreshing my stats and things like that, I would get more done in that 2 hours than I normally get in a whole week with testing ads and things, because on paper, I spent 20 hours a week doing that, but I was going back and forth between tabs and Skype conversations and refreshing my revenue to see the stats go up, and that's not good use of your time. So now I was getting to the point after an hour and a half, I was like, oh no, I don't even have enough things to do. I accomplished everything I needed to do normally in 8 hours in an hour and a half. So finding the biggest needle mover in your business and actually dedicating sole time to only doing that with no distractions is the most important thing I think you can do in your day. And if you can pull out 2 or 3 things like that, where you can time box 2 hours a day for 3 different things, you can work 4 to 6 hours a day and get more done than you normally get in a 10-hour day. And delegate anything else that is not the best use of your time. I think that's where a lot of guys struggle, where they can't grow because they are the business. If they close their laptop, their business is worth $0. And I struggle with that a lot too. I was the business, but now I close my laptop and our business still makes money because I have a team to do it for me now.
So when you close your laptop, what do you do for fun, man?
When I lived out in Denver for the last 3 years, I was very big into snowboarding. I'd go out 2 or 3 times a week. I'm in Iowa right now, and it's where I'm from, and it's the winter time, so there's not much to do outside. So I go to the gym in my free time. I'm very into meditation, a lot of the Zen things, philosophy, reading a lot of books on that. And then we do have a pretty good group of guys in the industry where we all play Call of Duty and stuff online together at night sometimes. So, because I love this industry, man. Like, even when I'm not working, I love just fooling around with these guys and messing around. So we'll get on Call of Duty or something and just shoot the shit like we're doing during the workday. So I'll close my laptop and I still talk to the same people over here, but now it's in a more fun setting. And I'm a festival rat. I go to a lot of music festivals too in the summertime.
Let me get you started doing the jiu-jitsu, man.
Dude, I should. I actually boxed competitively in college for a while.
You're long, man. Like,
yeah.
I could see that working.
Yeah, I'm lanky. So I could get into jiu-jitsu for sure. There's got to be something to it because I see such a large percentage of online business owners in the jiu-jitsu community specifically. So there's got to be something that I'm not seeing that they're benefiting from on that.
Well, you get physical benefits, obviously. You could defend yourself if they don't have a gun or knife, but also you mentioned like meditation stuff. It forces you I mean, it puts you in a great state because your heart rate's getting up. Like you can't be on your phone. You have to be fully present. So,
yeah, you can't be in your head when you're wrestling somebody else.
Exactly. You're there.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. Try it out, man. I like to push people to do it without pushing them. So
yeah, I'll come.
Encourage you to try it.
I'll come roll with you next time you're in one of these conferences. I think that's the term, rolling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's about as much as I know about jiu-jitsu. But
That's
I'll
okay,
roll with
man.
you.
Yeah. We'll get Ray out. I think Jennifer Rosario does it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun, man.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'll do that for sure.
What advice do you have for people that are, let's speak to both levels, right? People starting out or wanting to start an affiliate, or that's already an affiliate right now, doing well. Maybe they're doing well too.
I think for people starting out, the biggest problem I had was for the first 6 months to a year, I was trying to get into a business. I would spend all my time reading about how to start a business, how to learn different skills, but I would never take action on anything. In your mind, you feel like you're making progress because like, oh, I learned something. But at the end of the year, you still don't have a business making any money. So I very much so switched my mindset over to I'm much more a jump off the cliff and build the parachute on the way down type of person now, where I don't have to know how to build the whole thing. I used to think I had to know start to finish how to build an entire business. And then I realized, okay, what's the first step? What do I need to do? Because you don't even know what you don't know until you get into it. And as you start with step one and you accomplish that, you might run into some roadblocks where you see, oh, I didn't even anticipate this was going to happen, so I couldn't have been prepared for it regardless of how much I was studying for it.
If you were to start over again today with basically little to no money,
Okay.
what are the 3 to 5 things you would focus on doing as soon as possible to get to where you are now?
If I had very little money, do I still have the same knowledge and connections, or am I starting from scratch?
You're starting from scratch.
If I'm starting from scratch again, I would go into these groups and figure out where the groups are that people are hanging out, where they're making money. I'll go in there and try to contribute what little value I had to offer at that time. But I think a lot of people will see that if I'm making an effort to actually provide value in the group, there's a lot of people that are very willing to help. And it's very easy to start being a fly on the wall in these groups and seeing where everybody else is making their money, because success leaves clues, as they say. You can go see people who have successful businesses, and you can figure out, okay, the only reason this person is making more money than me right now is because they know something that I don't. So I had to figure out what is the one thing they know that I don't. And when I can figure that out, I would execute on that. But I'm very confident now where if I got into any industry, whether it was this one or something else, if I had zero experience, I think I could go build up to a very successful business regardless of what it is, just because I would build such a good network. And back to the networking thing, what I would do is I would go find people in a similar situation to me. Either they're already just now starting out or they're having very minor success. I would put them all in a group chat, which is what I did originally, where I found a bunch of other friends, or they weren't friends at the time, but I found a bunch of other people making $100 profit a day. We made a group chat with 10 people. All right, guys, we're all on the same level. We're all going to test different things and figure it out and report back to what's making money. Now I just 10x my efficiency because I have 9 other people testing things. And if we're all sharing things, I can grow 10 times as fast as someone trying to do it themselves. And I think that's very good advice that you can actually apply to any business model instead of just specifically our business. Just go start making a good group of friends in the same spot as you. You guys might come up together. Some of them may come up with you. Some may be left behind. But then you start adding yourself into new circles, and I'll make new group chats. And now I have a chat on Skype that has over 400 people in the chat. And those are all the friends that I've amassed over the last few years. People haven't seen this, but when I started out, I had a group chat of 5 or 10 very close friends, and they're great friends to this day that were coming up with me. So I don't want to sound like a broken record, but from starting from scratch, networking is 100% the most needle-moving thing you can do that most people aren't willing to do, or they don't know how to do it.
So that Skype group, we're here kind of as a result of that.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell everyone what Hellcon is, where the idea came from, and what do you like about it the most?
Yeah, 100%. So it actually started with a couple of close friends of mine, Michael Walker and Ray Sinlau, who are other big names in the space. And we had the idea that we wanted to go out to Lake Tahoe. We wanted to rent a nice mansion Airbnb on the lake. And we said, okay, let's get 6 other of our biggest friends. We'll rent out a mansion for 9 or 10 of us, and we can share value and have a really intimate mastermind together. So I made a Skype chat, the 3 of us. We had a few other people. What happened was a couple other people said, hey, is it okay if I add one more friend, please? I just want one more person to come. This is a great, valuable mastermind. It sounds like I want people to come. So they added a couple more people in the chat. I went to bed. I wake up the next day, and there's over 100 people in this Skype chat. So now it became a very big event, and jokingly, they renamed the event to CarterCon, like as a way to kind of like make fun of me. And rule number one of having a nickname that you hate is you can't tell people that you hate it, which I did. So the name stuck way worse than it would have. So people actually called the event CarterCon, and we had about 100 people show up to Lake Tahoe. And I think the really nice thing about the events that we did, we're like, hey, it's zero pressure. We have nothing organized for this. We're just going to put great people in the same room, and whatever happens, happens. We're going to have a really fun vacation. And it's kind of like a Field of Dreams concept of if you build it, they will come, where all I did was I said, hey, we have a really good group of guys making money come to this location at this time. And if you want to bring some people, come on by. We can share some value. We can have some drinks, have some laughs, and whatever comes out of it, like hopefully people leave with more than they came with. And it was a huge hit. I had a lot of people tell me that it was one of the best events they went to. So after that, my buddy Romano, who's co-hosting this event with me now, he approached me a couple months later and said, hey, I came to your Tahoe thing. That was fantastic. I've noticed a big gap in the industry where everyone's making money so quickly they don't realize what to do on how to lower your tax risks, where to invest your money, how to make your money work for you, and a bunch of things like that. So he said, I want to put on a joint group together. If you let me leverage this group of people you have right now, we'll put on another event where we're going to teach people how to invest their money, where to put it, how to lower your tax that you owe at the end of the year, and all these different things that the newer people like myself didn't know how to do. And then at that point, we couldn't name it CarterCon anymore because it's Carter and Romano Con. We can't. So he's from Tampa. The event was in Tampa. I think we just came up with a name where there's Pelicans in Tampa. I wish I had a better story for the name, but it was really like, I don't know, let's just name it Pelican. So we named it Pelican, and then we had probably 150 people show up to this one. It was much more structured. We had 8 speakers over 2 days. It was open bar for everybody. It was fully catered meals for everybody. We had party buses taking people to and from different events.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool, and I had a lot of really good reviews on it, but I actually had people tell me, hey, that was great what you did, but I had just as much fun at the Tahoe thing with no structure. And I said, I'm so glad you told me that, because Romano and I had an existential crisis planning this thing.
The ice cube.
So for this Pelican event, the really structured one, we had one sponsor. And this was the problem, was we had 8 different speakers. We had about 8 to 10 different sponsors. So we had about 18 different people who were expecting them to be part of the event. And it was like planning a wedding for 18 different brides at once. So it was very stressful, where they all had different demands for us. And we had this affiliate network. I won't name them because they're very good friends and they meant well, but they wanted some ice cubes that had their name on the ice cubes. And you would think, okay, that's not a very big task. We can take care of that. It cost us about $5,000 for these ice cubes with the name of their network on it. And they sent it 2 weeks early for the event. And they're like, okay, we have a huge pallet of ice cubes. Where are we going to store this thing for 2 weeks? So Romano spent, I kid you not, probably 20 to 30 hours of his week and like $3 or $4 grand extra to find a place to store these ice cubes for 2 weeks. He had to drive an hour outside of Tampa to find a freezing storage facility, because it couldn't be refrigerated, it had to be frozen, to store all these ice cubes. So it cost him like 30 hours of his time and probably $10,000 for these ice cubes. And that was just like one example of 100 different things where I was like, okay, me and Romano called each other probably 2 or 3 times the week leading up to the event. We're like, dude, I don't know if I can do it anymore, man. Like, should we just cancel everything? But everything worked out. It did great. But I was so glad people told me they had just as much fun with the low pressure thing.
Bro, so I know you don't charge for coaching or anything like that, but you're also not available 24/7 for questions.
Right.
But let's say someone did want to work with you in some way, maybe like someone that's affiliate. What are some of the ways they can work with you in your company?
I think probably the biggest thing that we're looking for partnerships on right now is we have a data monetization service where I would say probably 99% of affiliates right now are currently not doing anything with their data, specifically in the pay-per-call industry. So the value that we can give you guys is, if you guys are running pay-per-call offers or lead gen offers as well, let us come in. We can actually take those phone numbers for you on all the calls you're generating. Anybody who didn't become a conversion for you the first time, we're actually able to take out those phone numbers. We own a call center with about 90 different agents in there. They will outbound dial on all those phone numbers, and they will ask them, hey, are you still interested in this product or service? If they say yes, we transfer them back to the buyers. And we're kind of salvaging and rescuing a lot of that revenue that people are just letting fall through the cracks. And it doesn't cost anybody anything. It's no effort on their end. We just take the numbers for them. We'll monetize it in a bunch of different ways with that and our SMS team. and whatever revenue we generate, we'll just split that with the people that give us the data. So it costs them nothing. It's basically free money that they can add onto their traffic. So it really helps with people scaling, because now you can run at break even or even a slight loss, and you're still going to make money because we're going to make a bunch of money for you on the back end with that data.
How can people find you? Obviously, we'll link back underneath the video.
Yeah, people can find me on Telegram and on Skype. My Skype name and Telegram name are both Spooky Carter, just the word spooky and then Carter as one word. Little backstory about that, because I'm sure someone's going to ask, why is that my name? When I started getting bigger in the space, I had a bunch of networks reach out to me unsolicited and ask for traffic and basically harass me for a while, because my name was Carter York on Skype at the time. So it was a Halloween at the time, so I thought I'd just make kind of a disguised incognito name. So I changed it to Spooky Carter. My picture changed to like Dwight Schrute from The Office with a pumpkin on his head. And people liked it so much for whatever reason that I kept it year round. And it kind of became like a brand name where I wasn't expecting it to be like that. But now, anytime I meet someone at a conference, I'm like, hey, nice to meet you, I'm Carter. Like, wait, like Spooky Carter? Because someone's always going to remember that name when they see it on Skype, because everyone else has a very professional, buttoned up professional name, and they see this other random kid with a pumpkin on his head named Spooky Carter, and they don't ever forget it when they talk to me. So you can find me on Skype with Spooky Carter, or Telegram as well, or you can reach out to my buddy John Casto and he can connect you with me as well.
Bro, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me,
man.
dude. Yeah, appreciate it.
For your time.
Thank you.